Hello, my name is John Word, and in this presentation I want to talk about the power of data in schools. The essential mission of every school is to provide a quality education to all students to prepare them for success in their lives. This is a worthy and lofty goal, but it can be achieved through the hard work and dedication of capable and caring educators. To help in the daily work of teaching students, educators should take advantage of every tool at their disposal, and data analysis is one tool that can have a great impact on student learning. Data is what powers the continuous improvement in classrooms and schools so that educators can serve the varied needs of students and supercharge their learning. So I want to first talk about who can use data. So typically it's the administrators who in a building who have been the consumers and the ones analyzing data, and that still would be true. Administrators should use data to inform their decisions about the direction that a school goes in order to continuously improve. Verbiste et al. From 2014 lay out several competencies of data literacy that administrators should have. First, they need to identify information needs based on their general understanding of the needs of staff and students, so those needs can be further investigated. Next, they need to collect and curate relevant data, which leads to the next step of analyzing and interpreting that data. A good analysis of data looks for trends and isolates areas of improvement that the school can work on. An important next step is to design action steps that are geared towards solving the problems identified by the data, as well as looking into any limitations that show up in the data. The last competency is involving the staff in this data analysis process in order to create what they call a culture of inquiry, where teachers use data to make improvements in their own departments and classrooms. Teachers can use data as well, and when teachers use data, powerful changes can happen. The way teachers engage with data could be as involved as the process that administrators do, but simpler steps can be powerful as well. Teachers have access to a tremendous amount of data about their students and their teaching. Teachers should try to find patterns, both formally and informally, to modify their instruction to best meet the needs of students. Students also can be involved in analyzing their individual data, since students achieve better when they are involved in monitoring their own learning progress. Students can make decisions about what concepts they need to study further and if the strategies they apply are effective by drawing inferences from their success on learning activities and assessments. Along the same line, parents can sit down with their students and make conclusions together about ways to make good progress. Finally, members in the broader community around the school can consume data that is aggregated to the building and district level to empower relationships between the school and the community that supports continuous improvement. And what are the different kinds of data that these teachers and administrators and students and parents and community members, what is this data that they might interact with? Now, in that list of people that interact with data, there are certain limitations to not every piece of data is accessible to everybody. We have to protect the confidentiality of students and the data that pertains to them. But here are some examples of different kinds of data that can be analyzed and collected to make great learning achievements for students. The results from standardized testing is probably what first comes to mind in a discussion about student data, since these inform those charts, graphs, and reports, the grade letters that are shared with the community stakeholders. Um, Stakeholders in a school setting might not like this prominence of standardized testing results, but they are helpful in finding trends about student learning. The assessments that teachers routinely administer in their classrooms are also a great source of data. Both summative assessments that happen at the end of a learning cycle and formative assessments that gauge understanding during the learning cycle are useful data sets. With the growth in digital classroom environments, there is also an opportunity to utilize the vast amount of data that is automatically collected by many learning management systems such as Google Classroom, Moodle, and Schoology. Educators can quite easily see reports about how much students engage with the content available to them and how they collaborate with one another in these learning management systems. The general information about attendance, discipline, and demographics of students can be used to make powerful inferences that can support all learners. When any kind of data is paired with demographic data, such as race, ethnicity, language proficiency, socioeconomic background, or gender, administrators and teachers can look for signs of inequity. Gaps in learning or disproportionate disciplinary actions that show up in these analyses are red flags that should lead school leaders to reconsider instructional and institutional practices. Schools are both legally and morally obligated to provide the best possible education to all students, regardless of their circumstances, and data can be used to chart a course of action to meet this grand vision. Not all data takes the shape of numbers, percents, and discrete categories, however. The formal and informal observations that teachers make about learning and behavior in their class can also be very useful. Data does not always need to be collected by the school or teacher either. Student self-assessment is beneficial to learning. This kind of data helps inform students, teachers, and parents about the student's progress in a similar way to assessments, but it has the benefit of being collected quicker and more regularly because each student is responsible for collecting their own data during and close to the time of the learning activity. Also, by involving students in evaluating their own progress, they themselves can take ownership of the steps they take to make further progress.